Hello everyone, welcome to today's live stream. It is the 26th of November and I'm joined by Raven.
Raven, yeah.
I was very tempted to saying something incorrect. How are you today?
Yes.
Yes.
Is my response. No, generally good, yeah. I'm not on fire.
Good.
So that's generally a positive sign.
Good. Are you happy with how the release went so far?
Yes, it seems to have gone on quite well. It's not. There have been some teething issues, as there are a lot of updates. I mean, this is a really big update. There's a lot going on. Yeah. It's effectively 3 large updates in one. So the fact that not more things is just kind of on fire is very positive. Yeah. There are some things we're looking at. There are some things we've fixed already, and there are other things we're investigating. But generally, it's not. I'm pretty pleased with how it's gone down or how it's gone. Gone.
Well, even from a CM perspective, I'm quite happy with how everything has gone down as well, right? Yeah. Historically, like sometimes we've had bugs that stop players from playing and all that stuff. Yeah. We've not had any big bugs.
No, we've not had any hilariously funny bugs either, which is always slightly disappointing. There's a couple of weird graphical ones. There's a lovely one on Reddit of a lamb with the sickly trait that was just sort of twisted.
I've missed that one, actually. And
I don't know how it's happened, as we've changed nothing. But it amused me.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I think it is... there have been a lot of... We've had quite a few bugs. We've hotfixed quite a few of them. I think we've had, in total, when I did a quick count a bit earlier, we had about 11 hotfixes. This includes one for the escape ability, which was a big one for many of you. Let me double check. Some of you were not able to hand in your items to the leprechaun.
Yeah.
Some were not. So we figured out what it was, and we've resolved that. There were quite a few with the Beast of Burden that we've applied hotfixes for as well.
Yes, which I saw come up on there, which is a thing that's worth mentioning actually. So some people thought that taking the things in the Beast of Burden was a quality of life improvement. It wasn't. It was a bug. And the reason why we reverted it and fixed that bug rather than leaving it as because some people go, oh, but it's really nice and convenient. A change like that is quite dramatic in terms of like the balancing of the game and various things, and crucially, because we hadn't done it on purpose, who knows what dangers it could lead to. Like, we hadn't tested it, we hadn't done it because it wasn't intentional, it was a bug. So it was more dangerous to leave that in there than it would have been for the quality of life improvement. There was a much bigger risk. Like, we're talking people losing items, we're talking crashing their game, all manner of things. Like, the potential of things going wrong far outweighs the quality of life improvement. Yeah. So it's something that we had to fix. And it's also something we had to look at even if we liked the idea and thought it'd be a decent quality of life improvement, we need to look at it seriously. And look at it seriously with that kind of thought of balancing. Because of course it changes what you can do. It changes how much of an item you can make. It changes how much of everything you can do, which changes of course your XP per hour, which of course has massive impact across the game, affecting a load of different things. So it sounds really simple, and I've seen a lot of people go, oh, but it's actually quite a major issue, which is why we had to resolve it.
Cool. My follow-up question on that is would we potentially look into allowing it in the future again? I mean, in a more controlled
look into
way?
It,
yes.
Sure. It is definitely not something that we're going to agree to or even vaguely promise. Cool. Like, it's a sort of thing that we can look at and think at and chat internally, and there might be cases where we might think it's worth doing, but it's not something that we're going to commit to as a thing that we're going to do. Because, like I said, it has quite a big impact on XP per hour and that kind of thing, so we'd need to be looking at all of that more carefully.
Yeah. All right. So I think what you're saying there is quite fair. From there, I'd like to take it a bit more towards the quite few comments on Reddit about the dungeoneering flaws. Yeah. Now they've also skipped with 120. Quite a few of you don't like that. We are having discussions around this internally. Whether we are going to change something, we don't know, right? But we are talking about it.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those things that we've got a bit of a chatter going back and forth, and we're looking. We're not. So I'm just going to be open and honest. We're not going to make any big knee-jerk reactions at the moment. We're going to take the time to look at things carefully and to examine things over a decent amount of time. Crucially, this is something we learned from the previous player and farm, which is we made some quite quick knee-jerk reactions based on player feedback, which introduced long-term problems.
And those were the breeding,
so the breeding in pens, and the farm hands are a symptom of that. Yeah. And of course, at the time they seemed like brilliant, wonderful ideas, but of course they had big, massive knock-on effects. And so we need to look at all of this stuff in sort of take its time with that context and everything, and use it sensibly. Like the animals in Dinosaur Farm are balanced around being able to breed in all the pens, so we know that's happening. It's not a problem. Like, these are the rates we should expect, whereas previously they weren't, because we were fools. So we're looking at it. We're not going to make any big knee-jerk reactions, but it's that kind of thing of, there's an interesting discussion that goes on, which is, so we haven't deliberately done anything to Dungeoneering. Like, I don't think a single one of us touched the Dungeoneering code as part of this. The Dungeoneering code just automatically takes into account the fact that the skill now goes to 120, which of course sets up problems and blockers and yada yada and this, that and the other. And so the question comes, okay, do we want to change that? Do we go back and do we change that to a lower value? Even though the skill can go higher, do we need to change that? Which brings up the interesting question of, well, there are other places where it going to 120 is a positive thing. Tears of Guthix, I believe, goes to 120 now, which means you should get more XP out of it. So it's a case of, do we want them to allow that? Or if we're blocking Dungeoneering, should we block that one as well? So we need to sort of think, what does the skill going to 120 mean? What does the issues have? And so we need to think about that carefully. This isn't a discussion that we'll immediately solve. We want to take that time and do it properly and have that proper good think, and also get player feedback. Like, be constructive with feedback. I'll look at the camera and do it. Be constructive with feedback. Look at what it's causing from. Look at where the reasoning comes from. Why it's an issue, if it's an issue. How you think it might be a positive thing. Because of course, gaining skills and improving your character is a core part of RuneScape. So if the idea is just, oh, I don't want to engage with the core part of RuneScape, we need a good reason why. So give us your feedback. Give it. We're looking at Reddit, forums, Twitter, Discord. In most places,
everywhere.
As long as you're not writing on a piece of paper and hiding it in a room, in which case only Mod Ramen will see it. He hides under people's beds.
This is turning very weird very quickly.
We'll find it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and like. Adding on from that, I think, is like, we've had various updates in the past, and we've not always had time to potentially make post-update fixes, right? One thing that we are doing different this time is that we have allocated some time afterwards to look at things and potentially make changes if we think they're good, right? Yeah,
so at the moment we're all on bug fixing, obviously, and also we're looking at like feedback from players. We're going through, you've probably seen a bunch of us on Reddit, Discord, etc. It's because we're going through, looking through, taking feedback on board on that. And one of the things we're doing is we've got a allocated time of which is post-launch fixes, post-launch changes, where we're looking through and going, okay, what things could we look at? What can this includes? Looking at maybe tweaking the balancing of things, or maybe adjusting how some things work, but also looks at things like going, do we have space to maybe slide an extra benefit in here? We've got a couple of, I'm not going to spoil them, but a couple of fun little daft things hidden in there we might include as well. So these are things that you could accrue afterwards. Things like a couple more achievements, that kind of thing that we want to try and fit in based on what we see. But it's also to look at the core experience of what people are engaging with, what people are doing, and say, okay, how can we adjust some of that?
So yeah, we'll also look at data and those kind of things, right?
And feedback. Yeah.
And I think it's also, in particular, it's quite important with an update like this, because many of the resources will take a bit of time before they flow into the game.
Yes.
So it's very difficult to actually imagine how that will pan out in reality, right?
Yeah, it's a thing worth considering when looking at this update, which is this update. You weren't intended to be able to do everything like immediately on launch. You weren't. Like, that's not the plan. Farming in Herblore is long-term goals, long-term gameplay. Like, farming particularly it's a time, gated thing. You set things up, and it's one of the reasons we did them both at the same time, because you can't really actively train farming, not like dedicatedly. You can set things up and go on to do things, but it's not quite a sort of thing you focus on.
Right?
Whereas Herblore you can. So we did them both so that you could kind of keep training both at the same time. And because of this, particularly at the higher end, some of these things do take a decent amount of time. Some of these things will start to trickle through. And they'll start to trickle through not just the individual players, but through the economy as well. So you'll see more appearing on the Grand Exchange, more people trying this, that and the other. As you get the dinosaurs, the different traits and things, you'll see more of those sort of changes coming through. So it all takes a while to sort of really get going, which is one of the reasons. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we're deliberately not going to make any knee-jerk reactions based on, day 1, day 2 feedback. We're going to give it its due time to then come back and look and say, okay, what do we need to change?
Cool. I think that's already I had one question left here actually, which was like, are there other areas we'd like to look into or dig into a bit of potentially where we would like to make changes without making any promises, of course?
Yeah. There's absolutely no promises whatsoever, but there are a number of places that we're looking at. We want to look at the rates, we want to look at what people are engaging with. We're going to look at basically everything, see what people are doing, what people aren't doing, how things sit in certain things. One thing I will point out is we're not worried about certain things being niche. Mm-hmm. A number of players have raised, this is really, really niche. And it's like, yep, that's fine. Niche has its place, it has its uses. But yeah, we're going to look at just about everything and see what we can, do and treat and incorporate. See where the sticking points are, where the problems are, and try and sort of smooth those out. But also see if there's anywhere that we want to maybe revitalise in some way or add in a bit of spice. There are certain things we probably won't be able to do immediately, which and I've discussed this a few times with people on Reddit and whatnot, which is things like seed storage has come up a lot, and that's because there's a bigger discussion going on there. It's not forgotten. But it's not necessarily something that we can do due to various back and forth and issues and whatnot. But we'll keep assessing it. I had another thought and my brain went, nope, deleted, goodbye. So there are other things as well.
Well, now you're talking about a deleted thought. When we started, I forgot to give the rundown of what we were going to do in this stream as well.
Right.
So, but thank you for joining me on the couch, talking about Wrench Out of Time, Farming Hub 120. So just a quick update on the agenda for today. We'll do that quickly now. We've had the update on the update from Monday. We're going to do a demo of the smooth movement that we mentioned at RuneFest. That's the camera I need to look at. Just looking for a second. And we had Nin tell us about that and show a bit off, which I think is really cool. And then we're going to move into a audio showcase and a art showcase, both from the Wrench Out of Time. Before I'm going to move over to the PCs, there's one thing that I had in my intro notes is, I think last Friday, there was a podcast published by RSB Band B, in which Modelspawn starred, and he talks about content cadence and the past, present and future of RuneScape. And I think it's a quite insightful, interesting podcast. So if you like to listen to podcasts, I would definitely recommend that. I'm hoping that Modniku from upstairs is going to send the link in chat towards it at some point. But otherwise, I imagine it will be in the TLDW. Am I saying that right? No, TLDR. Why is there W in that? TLDI. But yeah, that's it for the intro notes that I had down. Thank you for joining me once more.
That's all right.
And then I'm going to make my way over to the couch with Motlin. So I'll see you in like a minute or 10 seconds, whatever it is.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, Mod Porky. So I'm Modnin. I'm part of the core experience team on RuneScape, which is a pretty recent team that's spun up. And I'm on the tech side of it, so looking more into kind of things we can do engine side, tech side, to improve the core kind of gameplay of RuneScape. And you'll see here I've got a side-by-side. And as my Porky said, the thing I've got to show for you today is smooth movement. So you might have seen this at RuneFest. It was in the keynote right at the end when Mob Pips came out. So I'm just going to have a little run around on the left client here, which is the before client.
Okay, I was just going to ask that, which is the before, which is the after.
Yeah, so you'll see before. Characters running, this is how it looks like in RuneScape. This hasn't changed since the launch of RuneScape 2 back in 2004. We've obviously
Did we actually change it back then, in 2004?
I imagine it's not quite the same as RuneScape Classic, but I wouldn't know exactly because I wasn't there. You've got this kind of jaggedy movement. Obviously, we've got some nicer animations now but when you hit a corner, you're doing a sharp turn, your character's running right to the center of the tile. The speed is kind of all over the place. It uses really fixed values for speed, so it just kind of speeds up and slows down instantly. If you've got classic camera mode on, that's particularly nauseating. So now I'm going to go over to the client on the right, which is the new one, and you'll see the character taking those corners smooth as butter. So there's basically just a couple of improvements here, really, but it did take quite a bit of engineering to kind of,
untangle it,
break everything apart, put it back together how we want it to. We're still doing the same kind of thing. Your movement itself, where you're going, isn't changing at all. That's just, that's coming in from the game server every tick, as it always has done.
So it's just visually it changes, and nothing else supposedly should change. Yeah,
so just visually, you're moving a bit smoother. I'm gonna do a little thing here. Ignore all this.
I love how the snow is back again.
Ignore this. Yes, snow in the debug console.
It's Christmas time again.
I had to push for that really hard to get it to happen.
Enabled again this year. Really? This is like the thing everyone at Jagex always looks forward to. Snow in the command console.
So I'll show you what the path you can see here. Basically, every game tick, the server sends us where your new position is, and on the client we interpolate towards it. You can see that with these green markers here, and basically we're taking that same data, we're not getting any more data, and we're just kind of fitting a bit of, we're just kind of calculating some curves that we can fit in, where we've added a bit of acceleration and deceleration. So if you're using classic camera and you find it a bit nauseating because the camera doesn't have any smoothment on it. Smoothness? That's what we should have called the update.
But we still got time to do.
Yep. So that's pretty much it. That's kind of all I have to show. It's doing it for players. It's doing it for NPCs.
Okay.
I don't know how to navigate menus, but that's kind of.
What were the big difficult challenges in there? What made it difficult? What made it simple to do? I'm curious.
So it was really simple that we didn't actually have to get any more data from the server. So this is purely done client side, which was quite nice. The difficulty was really just kind of unpacking how's the movement doing. Nobody's really touched this code for a long time. It got ported over to obviously the NXT client. You'll notice I'm not playing on the Java client. And this is one of the things that we're actually kind of able to do more efficiently, more effectively now that we're not going to have to maintain the Java client.
Because we are going to sunset it at some point for those who've not missed our sunset Java announcement.
Yeah.
Does this also apply to NPCs?
So it does. So I'm actually here in the Troll Stronghold. Let me get a nice skybox up so we can actually see. Midday. That sounds like a good one. So
nice and bright.
Yeah. So you've got these trolls here. You can see as they turn the corners, they're doing
it feels smooth.
Yeah, it feels smooth.
They're like less robot-y, so that's good.
That's pretty much all I've got to show. A very, relatively small update, but it's impacting a really core aspect of the game. That's the movement.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything you do more in the game. So it's important that we spend time making sure that it's correct.
So there's one question that's just been added to my script, which is, will this affect diagonal surging? I don't know if you know an answer to that question.
So surging won't be affected because we're not actually affecting any movement on the server. Surging won't be affected. In fact, if anything, it'll be a little bit more responsive because we try to keep your character closer to its server position. So yeah, you'll still surge in the same direction. We haven't changed the direction that your player is facing at any point.
Cool. I don't know which camera we're using. We're using that one, okay. It is worth noting on Friday, if everything goes well, there should be a lovely dev blog from you about this as well.
Yeah, I have written up a dev blog. That's probably going to go out whenever we release this. I don't want to give a release date for it. We're aiming for the end of the year.
Yeah, we don't know. It all depends on how our testing goes, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like we'd like to make sure that
it's in the final stages.
Yeah, but we don't want to make sure we're breaking things, so we like to do our due diligence.
We're taking a lot of care with it
Yeah.
because it's so core to the game. So
but the devlog will probably go out before it gets released though.
okay, good to know.
And the devlog currently is scheduled to go out on Friday, and no, we won't. I don't expect this to be there on the Monday after. Just as an FYI, can you tell? Like, you wrote the devlog with a specific reason. Do you want to elaborate on that as well? Because I find that very cool and like amazing.
Yeah, so it's a bit more techy, it's a bit more in depth, which before I joined the company, which was in 2016, which is kind of around the time that NXT was coming out, the tech team were publishing dev blogs for that. I was reading through them and I was like, these are really cool. And now I'm in the position where I get to do one myself, so it's really exciting. So I thought I'd write one.
Okay.
I hope everybody finds it interesting as well. So.
I think so. I loved it. I love how you wrote it. So yeah, that's. Is there any other question? I think that's all. Thank you for showing it off. Let me quickly check if there's another big question in the chat, but by the looks of it, not. So I'd like to thank you for showing it off.
Yeah, thanks
and
for having
hopefully
me on.
we can see this in game soon.
Yep. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I run off now?
You can you can scroll off. You can like walk into
because
this
we've got-
cellar kind of thing. Do you however you want to leave. And then we'll make we'll try and go for a butter smooth transition to Motsurma, who's going to talk with us about audio. Oh, look at that smooth transition! You didn't even notice
Smooth.
it. Yeah, that's good.
So smooth.
Are you only going to hear the audio? Aww.
Did I put these headphones on? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's up to you, I think.
Okay.
You've prepped this PC as well, I believe.
Got some audio in there. Anyway.
You're the only one who can hear it.
Okay, no worries.
And
Hello?
you know all the music and audio as well.
Well, I
that's
do. I do.
You take it away.
Do I start? Okay.
Well,
absolutely.
you've given me like a couple of things. Like
I
I've got a
have.
note here to talk about doggos. So,
I don't mind that.
why are we going to talk about doggos? What
No,
have you done
sure.
with doggos?
Okay, so I guess before I start, so I am Motsurma, and I did the audio for the Round Chat of Time. So we have a brand new music track and lots of cool sound effects for the baby dinosaurs. And I guess, well, without further ado, I should probably go straight in and show what I did really on this project.
This is 2 clients first, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not.
I can hear what's going on in them. So.
Oh, we've got the audio.
Oh,
on.
that's not good.
Well,
Okay.
are we going to show the exact thing from the tweet?
Ooh. Potentially, yes, could be. So,
Is this an attempt from you to plug your Twitter again? I'm helping you here, right?
don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna go upstairs so I can listen to it.
Alright.
Okay.
See you later, Mont, then.
Cool. So for the baby dinosaurs, I decided to record some dogs because I thought that would be a great start to get some vocal expressions. 'Cause obviously, I'm not after barks. A lot of people were saying, why do you want to record dogs? But I'm not after like the kind of typical sound a dog makes. I'm more after the kind of the snarls and the gnarls, the subtle vocal expressions that a dog can make. And I thought that would be really useful for the baby dinosaurs. I will show you a kind of small video about all the dogs that came into the office to record. So without further ado, I'll just play this.
It's just sad I can't hear it now. No, it's fine.
Oh, hello.
Like how we got the big dogs, the small dogs in, all of them.
All
the
of
husky.
them.
The husky was great.
I've got to admit, like, I wasn't really much of a dog person before this, but now I'm a changed man.
Yeah?
These dogs really melted my heart.
I mean, it's... I can tell that the... I'm not maybe not allowed to say this, but I think the productivity within the office might have lowered a little bit during all these recordings. So, because of the cuteness.
Hello.
Look at that husky. That is, of course, my husky, and I think I know why he got his name.
Now
right?
we know. Now we know.
Now we know. Did Mott Husky make it in?
All the dogs technically made it in. See, the thing is, what was really good is that a lot of the dogs were really vocal, but some dogs just were so adorable that they didn't make any sound. But they're just kind of like... like, you know, and it was exhausting because, you know, you'd have to be really kind of playful and really engage with the dog to try and encourage them to make some sounds. I do have some pictures actually of like my recording session. I won't show all of these because I got quite a lot. So here's a husky, which we all.
Oh, that's a toy. It's looks a bit like a carrot from my perspective. It's
lots of toys. Yeah, that's right. Massive dog, literally huge.
That one's lifting. Damon is lifting it like he's just like a feather or something as well.
Well, I know. It's crazy. Just even bigger. And here's the recent mod meadows, yeah, with
Mod Tiny Wolf.
That's the one. Yeah, great sound. Looking cute.
Oh, that's cute. We can just sit here and watch dogs.
The room got messy really quickly.
Really?
Because we had some toys, and you know, a lot of the toys broke. So like, you know, like lots of stuff was on the floor. As you can see here already, like it's getting, you know, needed the Hoover. I was apologising to the cleaners, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean this to happen, and you know. Yeah, you can see here just chaos, chaos everywhere. But it was all really good because, you know, in order for them to get sounds, you had to really kind of engage, and like it was, you know, like it got really warm as well. Like it wasn't just a kind of like a, you know, a light stroll down the street or something. It was got really warm. Yeah, and obviously the
loads of employees. J-Mod's taking a quick look as well.
Yeah,
That's so great.
Yeah, so it was really good actually because I invited all the I kind of put a post out to the studio and asking, you know, for anyone who owns a dog, please bring them in, and so, you know, I can record. And I wasn't quite sure what reaction I was going to get, but I was really pleased to get loads.
How many dogs did we get in the end?
I got about, I think, 13 or 14 dogs. 14. Yeah, and I was like, this is more than enough, really. And you know, it's a great way to kind of get new sound material for the future, obviously for this update, and you know, it was a really good experience. Mr. Snuffles didn't make it.
Aww.
Yeah, no man.
You did not survive.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's a cute one.
Cool. Okay, I've got loads, but yeah, I could be here all day. Oh, I'm finished.
Oh,
okay.
you finished.
Cool.
So, but like you mentioned, like you wanted the snarls and the growls more
That's
so
right.
than the barks, right?
Yeah.
Was it more so that you thought like they would be a good fit for the baby dinos?
Yeah.
Or was it like, I don't currently have something like this in the audio bank and I need new audio for it, but you try to use some existing sounds first?
It needed fresh sound. You know, after having had a look at what the artists had done, which is absolutely amazing, by the way, I kind of saw, right, okay, I needed to kind of just make something a bit fresh and new, and I thought the best avenue to do that would just be recording dogs. I wasn't 100% sure this would actually work out, obviously, because, you know, some dogs just didn't make a sound, so I thought, well, you know, what's going to work and what's not, but it did work really well, and I'm really pleased that, you know, I decided to go down that avenue, really, to do that.
Did we also have some accidents?
We did, but I'm going to say that for later.
Oh, you're going to...
Because it was really,
right.
really funny, because I'll say it for later.
Okay. And like we've talked about these, can we also listen to?
Yeah, absolutely. That's right? The next thing.
Oh, that's the next one.
So, without further ado, I shall first show the baby T-Rex, the Corbicula.
I can't tell whether it sounds good or bad because you're the only one hearing it a little bit. So
They sound good.
they sound good. Okay, I'm glad. Wasn't it? Yeah.
So this, you know, for the T-Rexes, we used I forgot the name, a Pomeranian breed of dog, and this it was fantastic. You know, made great sounds, and I used it for all the T-Rexes actually. This is the Bagrada.
Oh, we can hear it as well now. That's good. Thank you very much, John.
Bagrada again, the idol.
you know it, you can hear a little bit of dog in there as well.
Well, now that you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
Otherwise, if you take that away, I think it's quite fitting as well. It's very light in tone.
In timbre, timbre, I don't know if that's the right word really,
No,
but
but
just the quality, the quality of the sound, it gets kind of matching. So, and then next I shall show you the Papasaurus.
That end is so good.
It's really, really cute sounds. But you know what's and you know, and some of these sounds, you know, it wasn't just one breed of dog. You know, you'd kind of mix different sounds together to create the end result. So you would layer different sounds.
Multiple
layers. Like,
dog
you know,
growls in one kind.
Perhaps, you know, it could be like I know I don't think I have an example here, unfortunately, but I know for the I think for the corbicular when it's running, you know, we have like the panting of the husky.
Mm-hmm.
We have the a growl from the Pomeranian,
Okay.
and we have I think some more growls from I forgot the breed of dog, but from another dog. So basically, you lay all the sounds together, but to create
the ultimate baby dinosaur.
Baby dinosaur,
sound. Okay.
exactly. So I'll show you the oculi. This was the papillon.
This is moderator's dog.
Moderator's dog, that's right. Yeah, so it was a really good session. Just literally would not stop making any noise. So it was the best.
A good voice
example.
actor.
He's gonna go far after Hollywood. After Hollywood.
Oh. It is very exciting. Dog.
Obviously, a lot of these sounds, like when I did get them, they'll go through many edits and many kind of audio processing. So it's not necessarily that what you hear is the dog. It's actually through kind of like how can I put this, like through
You put it through a synthesizer, or
no, not quite a synthesizer, but just effects really.
Okay.
And like you kind of do things to the audio to make it sound suitable for you know, for whatever animation you've got.
All right.
I'll show you the skimmertops.
Ooh. Aww. Look at the dog even putting his tongue out. There's a lot of excitement there. It's good.
Yeah, and the malatops, baby version.
Does it actually match with the videos here?
No,
Because
no.
that one particularly seemed to do it.
It seemed to be in sync.
If you play it again.
Okay, let's have a look. Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even realise.
That one is
Good
like,
eye.
that's like a perfect match.
Yeah, I planned that. Yeah, you know. And this is the lizard, venomous lizard.
Oh, sausage. The dog looked a bit confused in the end.
Yeah. Like what am I doing? You know?
That's great.
So obviously, obviously again, like, you know, all the audio which I did record, it would go through processing in order to, you know, in order for the end result. Yes. Okay. Good. What should I move on to next? So that's literally that's most of the new sounds for the new baby dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great experience. Who knows what else I might record in the future?
Would we potentially work more often with all these little balls of fur?
Could we work more often? I don't know. It depends if people depends if people want to bring can bring their dogs in again.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a lot of effort, but you know, and I really appreciate all those who did, and it's had a fantastic outcome.
Well, I imagine you must have enjoyed it quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it was exhausting. I gotta say, you got to really be active with the dog, and the dogs are kind of running everywhere, and you got to chase them with your microphone, like come back here, still got to record you, So you're left after a good workout.
Well, that's good.
Which
Can't hurt, right?
definitely need.
Workout, dogs, and recording sound at the same
great
time.
recordings, exactly. So all in all, a pretty good recording sessions I had, absolutely. And before I move on, I will show some videos. So, hold on, which one is it now? So, all in all, I did have a great session until the last dog.
The last dog
I had to record. Oh, I don't know.
Did it ruin it or not?
If I can show you this actually on the stream.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything, so it's going to be equally a surprise for me. So
yeah. So this dog, we're trying to,
he's very excited.
we just can't get him back. We just can't.
Oh, I thought he was going to skate, but
And no, I'm gonna stop. So he does an accident right in the middle of the audio room.
oh, he does. Oh no, you can show that.
Oh, can I? Okay, are you sure?
If why not? Why wouldn't you be able to show
I
that?
don't know.
But you've teased it now, so you have to go through, right? Oh.
Oh, it was a disaster.
Man, he's proud of it as well. Look at him running.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh dear.
that must have been. Oh, the hop. Oh, that's funny. I find that very funny. Oh.
But hey.
I mean,
It
that
was
happens.
good.
That's part of that's the risk you take.
That's the risk we take, and I had no problems whatsoever until the very last. We even finished the recording session, and it was like, but it was all good, no real problem or anything. But
Okay.
it was good.
This was the accident you were referring to, I imagine.
Yeah.
I was like a funny blooper or something, like a jump into the microphone, but
No.
I was not expecting this. I'll admit that.
In addition to sound, I will finish off with a bit of music.
Oh yes.
So this track was it was a funny one because I previously worked on player-owned farms. Back when Man F Farm was released, and having worked on The Land Out of Time, this track was kind of like a hybrid, or a mixture of two.
Yeah.
So I was wanting to kind of involve the kind of farming elements that I'd previously composed for when on player-owned farm, and then kind of combine that with the kind of grand, big sound that Land Out of Time had. And so I'll just maybe play a minute or so of this.
Yeah.
And then.
I do remember that you showed it to me, or let me listen to
That's
it, and you asked about the whistle.
Yeah.
So I'm curious which one it is actually.
Yeah, the dogs did the whistling.
Oh really? I was like expecting the whistle pull having thingy.
Was it?
I was expecting you to like the bobbing,
The bob.
alongside, and the whistle. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
the whistling is coming back from the farming.
That's right.
Right,
So the
yeah.
whistling and like the kind of the offbeat sounds, and I got some mandolin in there as well. It's kind of like referencing the farming. Then you got like the strings, the brass, which you'll hear in a second, which is more kind of Land Out of Time.
A bit more adventurous.
Exactly, that kind of idea. Yeah. And of course, this is in-game, all for you to listen to, and on
It's
YouTube
on the
as well.
lobby as well, right?
Yes, and yeah, in the lobby.
I keep hearing it every now and then.
Huh?
Because I do a bit of skilling on the side,
Uh-huh.
and then every time I lobby, and then the music starts playing.
Uh-huh.
So. Is it actually 7 minutes and 28 seconds long?
It is, yeah. But we won't listen to all of that.
I just saw
Because
the
we-
length and I was like,
I'll just say that down. So there
that's a
you go.
long song.
There you go. But yeah, so that's that. Hope you enjoy all the new audio for this update.
Thank you very much. What was your mod name? What's your Twitter name again?
It's Mod Serma. Yeah,
You can do your plug. I enjoyed giving you the plug.
it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
This is an inside joke between the two of us. Every now and then we have a player tour, and Motsoma is always very friendly to the players that come in. Always tells them very exciting things about audio and what he does. And then I always force him to plug his Twitter. So
Hey,
that's the worst I do, right?
I know. It is, yeah.
Workplace bullying.
Hey, hey.
Thank you very much for sharing it.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me back.
Yes. We'll hopefully see you again with another big update, or we'll see Mod Slippers.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
we've had him with Violet is Blue last year.
Who knows what will be next? Who knows?
I don't know.
But yes.
Archaeology, probably.
Probably.
Maybe.
Who knows?
We might just not do archaeology anymore. We'll just go do something else.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Thank you very much.
No problem. I will shut these down.
Yes.
Thanks again. I hope you enjoy it all.
We'll go
and
for another very smooth transition,
Yes.
but from audio team to art team.
All good stuff.
Thank you very
try my
much.
best for the smooth transition.
Yeah. Run! There you go. We need to get a third chair in. We'll make that work. We're working very hard. Thank you for joining. We're getting two more mods in as well.
This chair's very low.
I'll move a bit backwards. Let's see. How are we going to make it work? Do you guys want to... I'll sit in back. So you guys... I think we need to move much more in this direction anyways.
Yeah, you two need to sit over there, don't you?
We need to- there you go, just
There we
careful.
go. Hashtag smooth, right?
There you go.
Brute force.
Do we have all four? Yes, we do have all four on us. We're still using that camera? Yes, we still are. That's the camera we're on. All right. Quick round of mod names because I'll be terribly sorry because I don't know the exact mod names from all three of you.
Start with me.
Yes.
I'm Mod Deadly.
I'm Mod Reed. I'm an environment artist.
I'm Mod Nice Pants. I've been around for a while here now, so some of you might recognize me.
And what are you?
I am a concept artist.
You wanna?
I'm a character artist. Sorry, I should have said.
So you're like, ooh, I missed that.
We're
All
not
right.
used to this whole being on in front of a camera kind of thing.
I mean,
We're
it's
just-
just, I think it's important to show
Yeah,
all
we don't do
facets from the development, right?
yeah, we mostly just try to stay away as much as we can and just hide away and do our art things. But it's
So
all
like, so you don't get like this style. You're just able to focus fully on what you enjoy doing.
Sorry, what?
You don't get this stuff, so you can work fully on what you enjoy
Exactly,
doing, is
yeah,
creating
yeah,
art
yeah.
and concepts.
That's,
All right.
that's right.
I think we're setting up a bit more. We're trying to find the assets.
Yeah, someone's closed my folder down.
Aww,
Oh no.
that's very mean of that person.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
I don't know
We
where it
might
is.
be getting a bit of
Yeah,
Mod
it's
John
the
on
one here,
screen as
sorry.
well.
Right, Phil.
Shout
It's
out
funny,
to our
actually.
Mod John here for always working very hard behind the cameras for us. Very important.
We screwed it up already.
It's all right. We've got the time. Mods with bods. Take that. I love that as a command.
There you
Mods with boards.
go. The webpage should be here as well already somewhere.
Yes, I found that, mate.
We need to
got-
work on our hairstyles as well. They're not anime enough, so take that as a note.
That's right. Yeah, it needs to be blue and spiky, right?
If that's what you interpret as anime,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a 2020 promise.
Jamie's is. It's just under that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
Promise.
plate of spaghetti under it.
All right. So, what are we gonna talk about in this art stuff? Can we?
So are you gonna? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna.
Yeah, let's
Start
drag
it
this
off.
over.
Yeah, that would make sense. So
Yeah.
Trees.
Trees.
trees. Basically, we have been part of this farming and herblore project. I have mostly been involved on the environment side of things, and obviously, farming includes a lot of vegetation and trees and bushes and palm trees and all that kind of stuff. So I've mostly been in charge of that stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that you could expect from a concept artist to send over to a 3D artist. The thing that you see on screen right now is basically like a... It's not the most sort of flashy kind of thing in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but it's super essential to the game that we have a nice functioning environment and make sure that it all kind of jives together, all the pieces kind of go together, and also that we build it in a nice and efficient way so it doesn't just break the game as well.
So just to give a bit more perspective, right? So we start from a concept, and then this is a concept you've drawn.
Yeah, and
What do we
basically-
do with a concept like this?
So it's a bit of a back and forth really between me and Jamie. In this case, we work together on these getting these trees to work, and we go through a few iterations of just what works and what doesn't, just to make sure that we find the right spot to be and like the right look of the game. Obviously, some of the trees in game that we have right now is the assets are quite old, so we need to sort of pay homage to this stuff that we already have, but also kind of modernize it in a nice way. So we're trying to find a nice balance, and also building it in a nice modular way as well. I don't know if you want to talk more about the modularity and stuff?
I'll leave it to you. I
Yeah.
don't mind.
That's cool.
We're going to go a bit into it eventually, I believe, anyways.
Yeah, that's cool. So you can kind of see at the bottom we've got these growth states and stuff. So design would have come up with what exactly we need, and then Tom will take that and kind of find reference and come up with his concept designs and kind of figure out how we're going to break them down and make them in 3D basically. And then that gets passed over to me, and I'll create the in-game models. So we'll take this concept and then create it in the style with all the levels.
This is already a 3D model, right?
Yeah, these
Yeah.
are 3D models. This is grabbed out the 3D software we use to make them. We'll create the textures, and then we'll make this little sort of foliage kit out of it. And then we'll use this and the sort of bark we've painted to assemble them. This one's a carambola tree. And then we'll repeat it for all of them.
So yeah, here's basically a set of trees that's using the same principles and the same sort of base assets, and they're just arranged in different ways to make the silhouette different, and like a different set of leaves to give like a bit of variety as well in there. So being clever where we reuse stuff, and then putting the effort doing new stuff as well, just mixing and matching.
And like you've done quite a few trees. Sorry, what did you say?
I just said to him to zoom out.
Oh, zoom out a bit before you can do that. There you go. We're learning basic photo viewer skills here. You've done quite a few trees. Is there like something difficult about drawing trees, or making a concept for them, and then of course in turn translating into 3D objects? Or
So I think the difficult part of it is finding the right stylization, because obviously anyone can just go on Google and look up trees and stuff, and we do that as well as part of the reference gathering. But we also want them to be RuneScapey in a way. So we need to find the correct sort of balance to make them fit into the existing world with all the fantastical elements in it. These are very non-fantastical in a way, but they still need to match with the rest of the set. So,
all right.
so that would be the biggest challenge, I think.
Okay.
This is just another tree that Tom's painted up. It's the dragon fruit cactus. Again, just figuring out levels, how to break it down, different diseased and dead versions, the golden variant.
Okay.
Yep. Mushrooms, same thing, like establishing the growth stages and like how we plot them onto the ground and stuff, just to make sure it's readable. Since these are like a gameplay feature as well, it needs to be readable, and you need to kind of at a glance sort of see what you're looking at and just make it really clear.
Yeah.
So
Scooch around here. I did have a test map set up with all of the trees on it, but it's disappeared for some reason. So.
oh no.
So I'll just give you a quick tour around the ranch itself. So when you first come here, you'll teleport to this beach. You got Bill and Ben. The
So go back and forth, right?
Yeah, to get to here. So you'll start here, and so you get like a kind of nice reveal as you walk up the hill. Kind of like a Jurassic Park moment. You can see the whole island, where you're going to be breeding all your dinosaurs and keeping them. And then we'll make your way down the beach, and you speak to the granny on the beach. And that is where you start. pictures.
They're hiding behind the microphone. I like
The
it.
next one.
There
Yeah,
you
there
we
she
got a picture of
is.
Granny.
Granny Potterington. I think this one was showed at RuneFest as well.
I recall.
I am
I think the
pretty-
most left part. I think.
Pretty sure, but this is basically the final concept sheet done for Granny Potterington, done by mod. What's his name?
Well, the full name is on screen. But
Baking Gazette. Like I still don't know what that mod name is. To be honest, we've tried to understand what it's coming from, but yeah,
all right.
Mike.
Like,
It's much easier to pronounce. And here's basically, I wanted to add these because we tend to show a lot of flashy concept art and stuff, like the final things that we post online and stuff. Usually pretty polished, but internally we use a lot of these stuff. You can see this is basically like a really quick overpaint of the actual in-game environment. So basically Jamie showed me an in-game screenshot of like a blank canvas basically of the whole environment, and I just quickly filled it in. These took maybe 30 to 40 minutes each to make. It's like really rough sketches just to get an idea, and then I basically just bounce it back and we have a chat about it, and he will basically take it from there. So a little bit of concept work, but mostly just reusing a lot of the things that we learned from Anachronia and just basically repurposing a lot of it.
So this is mainly to like build an impression of how it could look and how we want to fit it in
Exactly.
eventually.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. This was just a result of us like chatting in the office one day. I needed some ideas of how we could incorporate the kind of the natural terrain of this sort of found island and then create pens from it. So we kind of have different ideas of using the trees and then bits of the wood to create the fences, and you got the waterfall as like a backdrop and some of the ruins and stuff. Yeah, just got the ideas going really, and I could work from that. So,
And do you make multiple versions of these and based on the feedback, or you draw one and that's kind of it, or is that like an elaborative, iterative process?
Time permitting, we do iterations as well. It depends what the project is.
Okay.
If it's this is quite a big feature, I guess. So we did really go through a few sketches before
Okay.
we ended up where we did. All the different pens have a slightly different sort of theme to them. One is like on a cliffside, and one is more of a ruin-based thing. And here you can see some of the kit pieces that makes up.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. This is yours.
So from that, I can grab bits of existing models from the Land Out Time update and assemble these different pens out of it, almost like they've come and like cobbled together loads of different pieces. It's quite handmade. This is the large T-Rex one at the top of the hill, I think. So you can kind of see the different components I've grabbed, and then just basically almost like assembling it as you would in real life. Just trying to think how they would have made it.
And how it looks nice.
Yeah.
And this is then based on the concept art of the previous image.
Yeah, this is one of those sort of quick sketches. Gave me some ideas, and I'd sort of go off and see what
Alright.
we had to use and create something out of it. So,
Cool.
So it's from start to finish, it's a very collaborative sort of
Yeah.
process. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, of course. The
And
funnest stuff is seeing it in game, of course.
Yeah, and it almost sort of never ends up exactly like in the initial concept. Like they put their spin on it and use their assets in clever ways as well. So it's really nice to see your concept sort of taken to the next level as well when it goes to other artists to look at it. So it's a lot of fun.
So when you first turn up to the island, it's kind of undiscovered. You'll have these partially sort of constructed pens. So you'll see like piles of materials and then these sort of silhouettes you can interact with to build the gates, and that kind of builds the full versions. Just have a quick run around here and show people that haven't seen it before. So we've got a kind of Jadinko fence with the sort of the spiky vines to keep them in.
I really like how it's like part of the environment.
Yes.
It's like not separate. It's like as if it's always been there. And it's like entangled in it, which I think is really, really cool.
Exactly. You want to feel it, make sure it feels embedded. Mostly using like the natural landscape and then this sort of like hand-built piece on the front. And then one of the ideas Tom came up with was like some sort of viewing platform. So you can actually come up here and take some cool screenshots with the big T-Rexes and stuff, which is pretty cool. And then another medium one, Again, we've got some nice waterfalls and stuff, and working our way around the island. And down here, this is where you'll breed all the dinosaurs. So again, utilising a bit of the natural landscape, like some sort of creature had died on the beach, and yeah, we sort of partially used it to block off a bit of the pen.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's I'm still always amazed how this stuff goes from like a concept to just like in game, like the transformation. I always find very fascinating. I find that very inspiring.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's almost magic, right? I know there's like a lot of effort and time gets put into it, right? And you guys making it look like it's very easy to do now, but I know goes a lot of effort and time into creating those things. So I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time, but it's really fun to work on as well. And just see it basically go from a big empty square with like a grid on it to an actual final sort of piece that we show the players. It's really exciting to see like the first initial reactions and stuff to things. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So I had a short conversation before the stream as well, and you mentioned that one of the things that you've found quite rewarding from the work you do as well is like the fan art.
Yeah, just seeing the players actually create art based of what you've made is amazing. Be it like, you know, their own concept art or their own. With the dinos, we had a lot of beanies. Not beanies. A lot of plushies. I've got an image actually of some of the ones I captured. Yeah. So it's just a small collection of some of the stuff, and obviously at RuneFest, people were making little paper cutouts of the baby dinos. So seeing stuff like that, it makes it all worth it. Like when you're creating the work yourself, especially when you see people in cosplay, you know, going to RuneFest and stuff with a character kit that you've made. Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
But you did Karapak as well, didn't you?
I didn't do Karapak. No, that was one of our other character artists.
Okay.
But no, I made the Valkyrie Premier Club armor, which someone done a really cool.
Okay. Oh yeah, I've seen that one as well. Yeah. So if you make any of these things, always tag all the artists.
Yeah,
they
sure.
Always appreciate to see
yeah.
it. Tag us as well, so we can potentially share it as well. But I think it's really, really cool. I love the cat on the last one as well. I believe that is.
I think that was cabbage.
Cabbage.
Yeah.
No, the last on the one on the right, and I think the one to the left as well. I think it's cabbage as well. That. But yeah, it's really cool. So. If you make something, please share it with us. We love to see things like these.
Yeah, definitely.
We want to move on to the baby dinos itself.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I think that's the next on the list, isn't it?
Here's some more of the concept work from Mod, wherever his name is.
Mike.
We'll just call him Mike.
Just Mike. Just Mike.
But yeah, similar to how the environment guys work, we try and keep our stuff modular as well, so we can make the most out of it. So you can create like a base mesh, which you can see to the right hand side of this image. That means we can just like reuse animations where we can, just to sort of maximize the potential of an update. And then you can see the add-ons at the bottom of the screen are what are added on to the character, and then you just retexture it, and then you've got 3 characters based off essentially one, and some extras.
So we kind of make a very weird base version with not a lot of things on it.
Yeah, he kind of looks freaky by himself, but yeah, once you get the add-ons on it,
then it feels alive and it gets personality and those kinds of things.
Yeah. And the same again for the Stegosaurus. These are all the baby versions. All the eggs are just one egg, obviously reskinned.
So adorable. I can't stop looking at these guys.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Which is your favourite?
My favourite is the baby venomous.
Okay.
Because of his tongue. If you go onto I've got a 3D render of. I'll set up a little scene of the 3D ones.
We're loading it. There you go. Are we ready? Yes. There you go.
Yeah, so you can see
full screen
with his tongue and a little pool of drool. So he's my favourite.
Yeah. So
And then I'll probably say the Papasaurus as well. Papasaurus Rex.
I really like that one. Yeah.
So
I don't know all their names because I'm just terrible with names and remembering them. But
I think
love
that
the
one's
colour
the
scheme
most.
of that one.
He's the most iconic because he's used on all the sort of marketing and stuff. So the adult version of that is. So yeah, it's cool to see the baby equivalent.
So is there like because these are the baby dinosaurs, is there a difficulty to making in particular baby versions of them, or is there things you particularly keep in mind when creating these? Like I see all of them have big eyes, for example.
Yeah,
Is
well,
there-
we wanted to sort of keep this sort of cuteness, and part of that is by giving them big eyes and the personality of, even with the sounds, you could see we were getting dogs in for the sounds. The animations are similar, so they've got a very sort of excitable act to them, which really sort of helps sell them as these little cute pets, essentially.
Okay.
The textures is one of the restrictions we've got, so because they're relatively small, you kind of need to keep the texture size down just for efficiency, especially when we're moving over to the mobile aspect. So you've got to be clever the way you sort of work around that.
So is it like, as in like the textures that you don't want to add too much on them because it needs to be cleared as well? Or?
Yeah, because of the size. If you start adding too much detail, you then it just becomes noisy and doesn't read very well with the environment. You want them to sort of stand out a bit more.
Okay.
It's got to read well this size
Yeah, exactly.
as well as up close. So
there's never a point where you're going to be as close as that in game, really,
yeah,
unless you're taking a screenshot.
right.
It's kind of sad, really, because they look so good from up close.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
We just always, when we design something, we just have to keep in mind like the distance to the camera distance, because people tend to zoom out quite heavily as well. So you just always keep the readability in mind. And we sort of sometimes we have to sacrifice textures for that, but I think we're in a better spot. If we can just make them readable, that's a win, I think.
Yeah.
So we've mainly gone into the baby dinosaurs, right? Was it more fun to create the baby dinosaurs or the big dinosaurs then?
Oof. It's always fun to do cute stuff. Usually for RuneScape we work on like the scary monster stuff, that just the stuff that's about to kill you. So it's a really nice challenge to sort of break out of that and then kind of do these cute little things like plushy little puppy dino stuff. So it's nice. It's a very different challenge, but it's a nice change of pace. Yeah.
So the diversity in there is quite nice to do as well.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun challenge. It's not as easy as it looks to make something like cute and adorable. We have to do a lot of reference gathering, like looking at puppies and stuff. A lot of puppy videos were consumed during the process of these.
Well, and it still has to look a bit scary as well, right? Or like a dino.
And yeah, they still have to resemble like the grown-up stage. There's a balance that has to be struck for sure.
Are these all kinds of reference material then for the baby dinos?
Yes, this is kind of what I do to begin with. So the concept art from our guys is in the middle, and then I just sort of gather as much reference as I can just from the internet, just to give me a better idea of when I'm sort of sculpting a creature. No matter what it is, even if it's human, I still want to get reference images up just to sort of see the different angles. And even looking at other people's cartoons and takes on how they draw the simple forms, it's really useful. So if there's any sort of budding 3D artists out there, so reference is definitely key.
Yep.
I'm curious what kind of the search terms that you use to find all these pictures now, because I see like I imagine something like lizard or something or whatever. I'm just curious now. Do you still recall
lizard,
any or not?
Well, I can't remember what I searched.
I think you basically start at lizard or dinosaur, and then you kind of walk down the rabbit hole,
Yeah,
and you
exactly,
kind of get
yeah.
deeper and deeper into like more
Specific
sort
the
of
further you
obscure
get. Yeah.
things, and like even like nature photography and stuff like that. And you can find some really, if you do a little bit of digging, you can find some really cool stuff. And like each and every one of these pieces might just provide a little bit of emotion to the final creature, even though we don't copy them. We grab like the emotion from each image and kind of blend them into like the final result.
And I'd say real life reference is the most important, but it is useful to sort of see how other artists interpret certain things. So they can see on the left hand side, I've actually gathered some 3D models just from other artists around the world, just to sort of see how they've gone around sort of sculpting in simple details. Because often with real life, it's a lot more detailed than what we want to try and achieve. So just getting the right muscle forms and stuff.
All right. Thank you. Is there anything I'm missing from this whole process? Because you guys are the experts. I'm just here to say a couple of weird things here and there.
No, that's everything, I
and
think.
just make it into a nice story.
I think this is the final piece we didn't show.
Oh yeah, so,
No,
so
yeah.
we did work on the farming guild as well. It was mostly mod. What's his name?
Mod Alex.
Mod Alex. Yeah. So basically taking the player on farm and just breaking it apart, so, which was a lot of fun. And it was an interesting challenge as well to just use a thing that was in the game and kind of change it up a little bit. And the idea that we had initially for this was like, what if you brought like some seeds for like from Anachronia just back to the mainland, and you try and plant them in like in the soil, and just things going terribly wrong. You can't really expect. You don't expect the results that you're getting.
What I really liked about the last picture you showed as well is like that we literally taking a picture of the existing environment, and then we
Exactly.
just start drawing on it, and we're like, this is how we want it to look instead. Which I think is a very nice way to communicate the what we want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. This is really clear to work from if you're 3D artists as well, for characters or environments as well. You can run with this sort of stuff, so it's cool.
Yeah, 'cause there's no point in like reinventing the wheel. If you can find a shortcut, it's like the concept is just the idea. It's never like the final product anyway. So wherever we can shave off some time and just focus on the actual design, that's we try to take as many of those as possible. And if that includes like using photo reference, using like photography, using 3D, whatever works to get the job done, we'll use it.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope it gives a bit of insight into what we do for our audio and art that we put into our big updates. It's been very insightful, even for me. I knew you guys did a lot, but it's nice to see the process a bit more in a flow, which I think is really cool. Thank you very much, and I think it's time to close it off.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to say goodbye in a funny way? Because I messed up last time I did the stream.
In a funny
No?
way.
I don't know.
Well,
Put
in a
pressure on there.
Yeah, I'm putting
Oh.
pressure on. No?
Wasn't prepared for this.
You can say it in Swedish if you want.
What's that?
Okej, hej då. Hej. Ha en trevlig kväll.